I want to start this speech off for everyone to think of a time in which they faced a moment where they were categorized in any way, shape, or form. Now, every one of us has been categorized in one way, whether it was through our appearance, our personality, our test scores, or even ethnicity. Each form of categorization is important, and some have practical applications, like when we use data to understand the prevalence of certain diseases in different communities or different demographic groups, or even how we're able to help students with their needs based on categorization tests we have. Of course, these systems have their flaws, but they do something. From here, I want to talk about how we categorize ourselves to fit in with the people we're surrounded by and to find appropriate companions. To find our appropriate companions, and now, every day, you might be wondering, isn't it completely normal to want to hang out with people just like you? And in response, I would say, of course it is. In fact, we do it all the time, every day. The human desire to be a part of a group is something that is undeniable. Every day we spend hours upon hours building experiences, lasting memories with the peers around us. That's where my story comes in. I want to add a tool to your arsenal and shift your perspective of making friends and talking to new people. I call this tool Weird Obsessions. I'm going to start this story from my childhood. I was born in Coimbatore, India, and here, honestly, could not tell you much about these 3 years of my life, except for the fact that I remember a lot of coconuts. In 2009, I moved to Rhode Island, where I developed my first prominent obsession, weird prominent obsession. This would be jumping on all sorts of surfaces. Primarily, it started as my passion for jumping on beds. And then, as my curiosity grew, I would jump on different surfaces, like the couch, the carpet. Why not the pavement, right? No, I'm just kidding. And then, this grew into one day when I would notice all the beauty that surrounded me while I was jumping on all these surfaces. I would notice the 2 swans that would always be in the pond next to our apartment, the blue skies in the summer, the pillar of ladybugs during the spring, and the slate white snow in the winter. It was one winter day when I met my best friend while I was pursuing this weird obsession. I was outside, a 3-foot person, contemplating on whether I should jump in the pile of snow in front of me. A little distance away, I noticed another 3-foot person playing in the snow. Abandoning all rational thought, I decided I had to make a grand entrance and jump in the snow. I ran forth, jumped in the snow, made a big entrance, and we had a generally good time. We threw snow at each other, we became friends, and would eventually spend our birthdays together, building memories that would last a lifetime. And then it came to an end. I had to move, and we had to go our separate ways. One thing that I learned through the many times I had to move throughout my life was that change can be difficult, but it taught me a lesson on adaptability. No matter what happens, the end result is going to be okay. Next, I moved to Virginia, where I met a new group of friends through my second weird obsession. This would be puzzles. I would sit outside my apartment working on puzzles, and one day, my neighbor, who was, I suppose, 4 at the time, came outside and asked me, "What are you doing?" And I, being the magnetic personality I am, responded, "Doing a puzzle?" And she said, "Can I join?" And we started there, continued, finished the puzzle triumphantly. I distinctly remember it was of a monkey's face, and I thought long and hard about this when I was writing this speech. But it wasn't Curious George. So sad. Next, we spent all of our time together doing various activities, like playing in the sandbox, or drawing with chalk. One friend became two, two became three, three became four, until there was a whole group of young children running around our apartment complex. Soon, this would also come to an end. I would have to wrap these memories together and move on as time came to move to India. Now, finally, we're at the part where I remembered a lot of coconuts in the beginning. Now I know why. When I moved back to India, I was made aware that our family had a coconut plantation. And in the coconut plantation, my grandma would spend a lot of time using coconut leaves to make various cool objects like baskets, sheds, whatever was needed. I was curious, how did she do this? And this was the development of my third most prominent weird obsession. Through this time, I would beg and plead my grandma to teach me how to make these things. And soon she gave in. With my cousin and my third best friend, we both worked hours on hours trying to figure out how she braided the coconut leaves to form baskets. We would eventually learn to make watches and snakes, not as complicated as you might think with coconut leaves. From this, the friendship bloomed to where we built forts with blankets, and by forts, I mean the coolest forts you guys have ever laid eyes on. We also stole the local Horlicks powder from my grandma's kitchen, if you know what I'm talking about. And my parents don't know this, but also dumpster diving. This would also eventually come down to an end, as you may be expecting. I would have to say goodbye to my friend and my cousin and leave to come to Matthews, North Carolina. In Matthews, I would say this is the most eccentric of all my obsessions. I would turn into a part-time canine and would love chasing one of the countless squirrels that lived in our neighborhood. Every day after school, I'd come home, make complex battle plans, and work with my friends to at least try to touch one of these squirrels. It took a while. It took 2 weeks of consistent effort, and we finally were able to corner a squirrel and get a feel for its fur. It was trembling, so I let it go. From here, I would move to Austin, Texas, and move back to North Carolina. On the move back, I developed my last prominent obsession in childhood. This would be license plates. Not as creepy as you guys might think, because on the way back, a 3-day drive, I would spend all my time looking out the window and wondering why each license plate looked different, each state's design. It was all unique. And that was one of the only ways I could tell what state we were actually in. I don't know how my parents put up with this, because I would read out every single license plate. I'd go, oh my God, there's Louisiana. Wait, I just saw California. Wait, what is California doing in Mississippi? And then, oh, Kansas. Wait, Mom, where is Kansas? Non-stop, the entire car ride. Now, when I came back to North Carolina, I talked about these experiences and found a new group of friends. Each time I had to move, I had to find an interest and pursue that interest and connect with people with similar passions. Now, you might be wondering, Sutharsika, wasn't that just your little life story? What significance does it have to me? And in all honesty, I would say, oh, it has none. My life story has no significance to you guys, but yours does. I hope that through hearing my story, you remembered little snippets of interesting things that happened to each of you. Through these things, I want you to take a step back and think about it. They make up who you are, whether you like it or not. And I believe when we share all of these little quirks and nuanced differences, we find people who are just as interesting us and just as passionate about different ideas and topics. Together, we can come together and form a diverse, individualistic community of driven individuals. And with that, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.